Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be checking out the Demco Air Force One supplemental braking system for the motorhome side only. So right off the bat, this system is going to be designed for those of you that already have an Air Force One system on your flat-towed vehicle and need the rest of the system on your motorhome. So most of the situations that we see is people already had a whole rig set up with their flat-towed vehicle and their motorhome, everything's working good, and they end up upgrading or changing motorhomes, right? And so as long as the new motorhome you got has air brakes, this is the kit that you're going to need. That way you can keep everything you already have on your towed vehicle and just get the parts from the motorhome. So it's going to come with everything you need to get it set up on your motorhome and allow you to hook up your flat-towed vehicle to it and have everything working the way it should again. Something I do want to talk about as well is there's a bunch of other packages available that you can get too. So let's say, for example, if your motorhome already has these parts on it and you end up getting a new towed vehicle, you can get just that side of the Air Force One too, just for your vehicle side. And if you don't have anything, you know, there's a full package available too. So you get the motorhome parts as well as the towed vehicle parts. So just about any situation, there's going to be a proper kit or setup for you that will be the most effective. Something I think is worth mentioning too, so this particular kit for the motorhome side only is not going to come included with the Airline. So this is the Airline that, you know, plugs into the back of your coach and then to the front of your towed vehicle. I believe the reasoning behind that is, if you're picking up this kit, you probably already have this on hand. If not, you know, let's say if you left it in your motorhome when you traded it in for your new one, or you lost it or it's damaged, whatever the case may be, you can always pick these up separately to, you know, get everything paired together. Other than that though, you know, that's really about it. There's really not much to this kit. You know, you get your tank and your fittings and a couple ins and outs, Airline and stuff like that that you're going to need to set your motorhome up and, you know, allow you to hook up to your vehicle side that already has that portion of the braking system installed. And you know, I think it's pretty convenient that there's a kit like this available that'll allow you to, you know, just do your motorhome side as opposed to buying a whole entire new kit when you only really need half the parts, you know. So saves you some time and energy there. And as far as, you know, getting this installed, it's really not complicated per se. It is just a little time consuming, you know, rolling under the motorhome and getting hooked up into the Airlines and stuff. Everything can be a little tight sometimes, but good news is it's something you're going to have to do one time, and then, you know, you can go out and enjoy yourself and do some flat towing and whatnot. So every motorhome will be set up a little bit different, but we'll go ahead and do ours, kind of show you how we got that one set up, and at least give you the idea. You know, everything's at least have something to work off of. The concept's the same. So if you're interested in seeing that, feel free to hang around. We'll go ahead and do that now. To begin our installation, we're going to be working underneath of our coach, just in front of our rear axle. And, you know, obviously we have our motorhome up on lifts up in the air. This is something that can be done on the ground. It's a little tight, but it can be done. We like to get it up in the air though, so we can actually see a little bit better and give you guys a better understanding and some better shots of kind of what's going on. So underneath of our coach, like I said, this is our rear axle assembly here, and just in front of it, essentially, right here in this area in the middle, is where we're going to begin working. To get your system converted on your vehicle side, first thing you're going to want to do is find where your old box was actually mounted up, right? And in our case, in our Jeep, it was right here behind our front bumper. So you're going to remove the old box, and then obviously, you know, this one will bolt right back up in the same area. It shouldn't give you really any issues. This one's actually smaller than the stay in place, so if anything, you'll have more room. But from there, it's kind of just hooking up, for the most part, what's already there. So on your stay in play, you had a vacuum line that you know, ran into the system. You're simply going to plug that into the vacuum port here on our Air Force One. Make sure to reuse your old check valve from your stay and play Duo, because this kit doesn't come with the new one. So make sure to keep that in good condition when you take it apart. You can always grab the stuff separately too, you know, if you'd rather just pop a new one in there. And then you're going to have a couple of your Airlines. All right, so the one Airline, this will be the port labeled air out. So this is the Airline that's actually going to your cylinder on your brake pedal inside of your vehicle. So originally this line was to plug into the little nylon air fitting on your stay and play Duo system. So you unplug that, plug it right into the air out valve on your new system. And then as far as the air in valve, which is this one here, that's just going to plug your Airline into it, and that's going to run to the front of your vehicle where you have that male connector mounted up. So that's where the line goes into our fitting. Yours may look a little bit different. Chances are good you'll have a quick connect fitting where the line just kind of snaps into it. But the idea is the same here, you know. Run the line up to the fitting. And the purpose of this fitting, you want it to be accessible in the front there, because the purpose of it, that's going to provide us with a spot to take the tether, or the air hose rather, plug into there, and then the other end will obviously go get plugged into the fitting on our motorhome. That's going to allow the air to flow through here and into our system to help everything operate. And then from there, it's essentially just two wires to hook up. So you have two black wires coming out of your Air Force One. Doesn't matter which one you use in this situation to ground it, either one of them, as long as they're both hooked up. So one wire is a ground, so you crimp on a ring terminal, ground it out. In our case, we had one right here, so that worked out good. Then the other remaining wire will simply just get tied into the black wire from our breakaway switch. So our breakaway switch at the front, two wires coming off. The black one, you're just going to use a butt connector and connect them two together. So essentially on the vehicle side, that's it. And as long as you hook it up like we have here, what you can do on the inside of your vehicle is use your G-force controller as a switch for your indicator light. So just to help kind of clarify that, we'll go up there, check that out, and show you what we're talking about here. So inside of your vehicle, the G-force controller, which originally was part of your stay and play Duo system, you can leave this hooked up and intact and everything. And as long as you hooked up the wires like we told you to down by the operating unit, this essentially is going to be an on-off switch for the indicator light for your braking system, right? So in the off position, whenever you're driving around town and you apply the brakes in your Jeep, your towed vehicle, and you're not flat towing, the indicator light isn't going to go off. But when you are ready to flat tow, turn it on. Whenever the brake pedal is pushed down, then the indicator light is going to illuminate and let you know that your vehicle is braking behind your motorhome. So right now I have the switch off. Our light is right here, and I'm pushing the brake pedal. Obviously we don't have anything illuminating. And then if I turn it on, hit the brake pedal, now we can see it lighting up. So kind of a cool trick, and you know, it's not going to be annoying having this light light up whenever you're just driving around town and not behind your motorhome. So we checked out how everything works on the vehicle side and kind of how that all them parts go on. So let's check out the other half of the kit, which is the motorhome side. Now keep in mind, every motorhome is going to be set up a little bit different, but the idea on how to get this on is all the same. So in our case, we're going to be working just in front of the rear axle and finding a spot to mount up our tank and tee in to the Airlines. So underneath the motorhome now, here's our air tank, and when you mount this up, you want to make sure to mount it up, you know, high and out of the way. Obviously not right next to moving and hot parts and whatnot. So a lot of times where all your Airlines are anyway, there's a bracket holding, you know, valves and everything, and I just utilized 2 bolts that were already there to mount this up. So pretty straightforward. Once you have this mounted, we're going to have 3 different Airlines that we need to run. 2 of them are going to get connected just right here in front of all this into our main Motorhome Airlines. So here is our connections located up here, and we're going to have a metered air connection and a Supplier. So we'll first start with the metered air. That is this one right here. Usually the hose is a little bit smaller, and one way to test this, if you pull the hose out, these are just quick connects, so you kind of push in and pull out. This is only going to shoot air out whenever you push the brake pedal down. So it's usually pretty easy to find, and what you're going to do once you find it, cut the Airline in half. You want to make sure you have a good clean cut, so avoid a regular pair of snips. You want to use a razor or a tubing cutter tool or something along those lines, and then clean the ends really good. You can take some brake clean or some type of solution and wipe them clean. And then these essentially just plug right into these quick connects, right? So that completes the original Airline. And then the new Airline, the smaller one, so you'll have a big bundle that comes in your kit. For the metered air, it plugs into the T. So that metered Airline will run down to our tank and get plugged into this fitting right here. So that one's all done. And I guess while we're right here, we'll show you where the supply line runs. So we have a big T that goes into the supply line, but then obviously a smaller hose that runs into the tank. So the supply line hose, you're going to plug it into this into this fitting. And then this line is going to run up to our supply line, which is just above our metered air connection. So this is our supply line, and it works the same way that we hooked up our metered air connection. Cut the line, make sure they're clean and snap everything together. With the supply line though, before you cut it, it's usually the thick one, like this. Before you cut it though, get up in the motorhome with it not running, hit the brakes a bunch and drain pretty much all the air out of it. Leave a few PSI in there, and you'll know if it's a supply line when you go to pull this out or cut it in half. And if you get some air that just comes out, that's going to be the supply line. So that's how that works. Hook it all up. Clean cuts. Make sure the hose is clean. Snap everything together. One more line coming off of our tank, which is this one here. You're going to plug your hose fitting into it. And this is going to run all the way to the back of our motorhome, where we're going to have a quick connect fitting. That way we can plug our car into it. So essentially, it's going to be really tough to see under here, but you get the idea. This is going to run up and then just along the frame all the way to the back. Usually there's other wires and harnesses and stuff that you can follow, so it's pretty straightforward. Just like I said before, when you're running these, make sure you're avoiding hot and moving parts. Pretty straightforward. Here at the back you have this fitting. You can bolt this where you find appropriate. I usually just go to the very bottom of our bumper or something like that, where it's easy to get to, and plug everything in. And then that line that we ran back, again, you cut it clean and it literally just plugs into those quick connects. So super convenient and not really a whole lot to it. So once everything's hooked up, what you want to do is start up your motorhome, let it run, let it build air pressure, and then check for any leaks. So to do that, a lot of times you'll know right away, you'll hear it hissing, or you can spray all this stuff down with soapy water and look for bubbles to form. If that's the case, what you want to do, if you have a leak, is unplug the line where it's leaking, recut it, clean it off, and plug it back in and do it again. But as long as you have clean cuts and clean lines, you really shouldn't run into any issues. And that'll finish up our look at of the Demco Air Force One supplemental braking system for the motorhome side only.